Yes, and we are live. And the good news is the technology is working. So, everyone, welcome to Fuck Up Friday on Monday. And today we're going to talk about how the Indian cuisine influenced some Canadian and American printers, right?
Uh, Actually, I think we should talk about our. I think actually, so yeah. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks, everybody. We got Phil and we got Denise. We'll get back to them. But we already started off with our first fuck up on the show. We almost missed the show.
yeah, that's that's amazing. And that happens when you ask two knuckleheads to schedule an international
Are you,
meeting.
are you talking about Phil and Denise?
No.
No,
I think you've got the biggest knucklehead there, Warren.
yeah.
Hey. All right, I'll accept that.
So we had a little bit a time difference because it was scheduled at 6 o'clock or 6 p.m. European time, and 1 hour later in your US Canada time. But it has to do with because you have four clocks in your office. One was on a different time zone. That wasn't correctly right, Warren.
Oh, I didn't say the clocks were set properly. I just put them up for decoration.
Okay, so this is today the so we have some talk tracks about of course about the industry and two of our guests because we have Dennis and Bill on board and they will introduce themselves. But before we quick kick off, I do have actually the quick news. Do we have something to share about the industry or related to the industry that you want to share in 30 seconds?
Nah.
No? No.
Actually, you know what? Yeah. So the
You
one
can't get it in within 30
There's
seconds.
nothing
That's the
going on
problem.
here.
No, but you will have time later. But anything?
but one good thing, just so that everybody should know, is things are slowly picking up out there. The pandemic is still there. We need to be careful. We can't be stupid. But business is starting to pick up again. People have needs, people have requests, and people are moving around slowly.
That's true.
Good. And Dennis, Bill?
Go ahead, Bill. You seem the older one between us both, so I'll be respectful.
So what? I'm older than everybody.
I'm young. I'm nice like that.
We're going alphabetically. Bill, you're first.
Okay. So you want me to tell you who I am? Is that what it is?
No,
Or-
not yet.
Nah, we don't really care.
We don't care. No, do you have
just
any
want
news to
stories.
share?
What's new in my business is that I've retired from daily sales activity and I'm coaching businesses that will hire me on their selling and on their messaging. And I see the people I'm talking about. There's lots of exciting action, just like Warren suggested earlier. There's lots of exciting action, and the level of the questions are elevated, which is exciting because we're talking about the things that I think really matter to making the business all it can be, and I like that.
So I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I would think that's because I'm doing similar stuff than you with this, trying to work with companies, but I'm finding I've spoken with a couple companies still who know they have to do something, and this is what I say to them: "What are you doing?" This is their answer. What are we going to do with those companies? Should we just get them to close their doors before they close? Because you can't be anymore.
Well,
right?
I think that's a sales process, just like it was selling to customers when you were owned your own business. You know, it's what is it, Warren? Communication occurs in the mind of the listener, so you got to get dialed into where they see themselves. You know, so
I guess I'm just referring to the fact that we have an industry that people take a long time to move sometimes.
That is
and
true.
There's a lot of people that were behind in before the pandemic started in terms of some. Sorry.
Dennis, do you have 30 seconds to share something?
Absolutely. Well,
I just got cut off.
Sorry.
That's
Warren.
fucked. Okay, go ahead.
What you were saying, dude. I gotta say, I started as a restaurateur. My family being Greek, half Greek, my family had restaurants. So my mentality is get the orders out, get the things going, and you need to adjust to what the clients want. So I took that into printing about 25 years ago, which I got in there by pure luck. I had no business being in printing. I had no experience, nothing. So
You still have none.
yeah, you know it very well. Well, when you come in there as a little innocent guinea pig, just trying everything, you change things around and you do things differently that what the old traditionals do. So this
That's
is,
right.
I believe, the success of my business is that we adapted quickly. We got things going quickly, and we know that customers nowadays want everything for yesterday. And for us, it was just normal to get things out for yesterday. So we were able to adapt and eventually invested in certain technology, and I'll talk to you about it, other stuff that we've done. But one of the things I've done is I started going into about 5-6 years ago into augmented reality, virtual reality. I even started a virtual reality, which called Auratech 360 virtual reality centers, gaming centers. When the pandemic came along, well, these computers, these freaking amazing graphic design computers were useless. So what did I do? I switched them to Bitcoin mining and Ethereum mining in the last year. So, it's just crazy stuff that has nothing to do sometimes with printing, but it's adjusting. And
Okay.
thank God we invested in different things like that. But also we went into large format and so on, which was a godsend.
We have so we started with quick news, but Erik Zenzan Vessels, do you know him?
Who's the guy?
It's in the Erik Zenzan Vessels.
Eric Zenzan Vessels.
Yeah,
Never heard of the guy.
How as you guys get
Eric-
Robert Reich
Eric's
on?
screaming at me right now.
Oh, okay. So
Eric's actually the co-owner publisher of whattheythink.com.
oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I love that. I love that.
The same people that host my printer to printer chats on Wednesday.
Okay, okay. We passed the time already, but I have a 30 seconds thought to share, and I read some numbers about the new iOS updates that Apple has launched to block apps
Today.
that's tracking. So in the Netherlands, 40% of the users they have iOS operating system, but worldwide already 80% of the people somehow enabled the anti-tracking function in apps. So now suddenly the apps can't get your data, personal data,
Wow.
tracking data. That means that if you are into social media marketing or what kind of digital marketing where you are highly depending on data, that lifeline is going to dry up at the end. So I think that we talked a lot about big data, but I think the new gameplay of Apple will be privacy. And when it comes to privacy, suddenly the stamp and the letter to the post box will become big once again, because that's the only way to get in touch.
Oh, I hope so. But anything to do with Apple and privacy, no, they're like the CIA. They're collecting everything on everyone. Don't ever think that there's anything for their privacy.
Oh, question from our audience, from Eric, is: did COVID save QR codes, or will they finally die?
Oh my God!
Question for
Great
one question. Yeah, for three of you.
It is a good question.
Who knows what QR means? The letters, the two letters.
Q's at the end. And
Quick response, I think, something like that. Quick response.
It's quick response code. Yeah, that's correct. So, who wants to answer this?
Did someone give you the answer first?
Yeah, I got it on my phone right here. I'm getting all my answers from Google,
didn't you?
and then they're gonna tell me what to say after Google. So.
Got it.
Okay, Dennis.
Who wants to go first? I'll go first, but it's my show, so one of you two.
No, we'll go, Warren, if you want, and then after that, I'll piggyback off what you.
Okay, so the answer to the question: did COVID save the QR code? Absolutely. Prior to that, now how long will it be there? I don't know, but for restaurants and ordering, it sure opened up a few things rather quick.
That's true. That's true.
Right? A lot of company when we went into the no hands touching in the beginning, when everyone was afraid, QR codes were popping up on all the menus, all the shelves, anything you went to. Is it still here? I don't know. I haven't left my house yet.
I think it just kicked the can down the road a ways. That's what I think. So.
I believe, unfortunately, QR codes should have been a useful tool, but there was too many graphic designers that did not know how to use it. I mean, we've used it in our business for clients and so on, and we even brought it to a next level where we started using augmented reality with with just scanning with your phone an image, and first of all, it looked better. But there are so many good ways to use QR codes as far as designing a logo within it, using colors and so on. And most graphic designers just simply, I shouldn't say most, I said the ones that work from home and charge $25 an hour just don't fucking know how to use QR codes. And that, I believe, is what was the really major handicap, that they just fucking pasted everywhere, and that was it. And then people say, well, this doesn't look on my thing. So I know there's two sides to this medal, but for me, I think there needs to be an educated and a concerted effort how to properly use QR codes.
Okay, so hang on. It wasn't only the $25 an hour graphic artists working at home. It was some of the big fucking agencies that charge big dollars that didn't get it, right?
Yeah.
You looked over to Europe and some of those countries, the QR codes were working the whole time. Japan, everywhere.
In Asia, go in Asia, man. They're crazy in some ways.
Let's just say this. In North America, I think we're always behind on that stuff. And then I think we have a lot of attitude when it comes to using it, because people, well, you can't this, well, that, right? The rest of the world is, let's embrace it. North America's like, are you tracking me?
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's a summary for this question. Is creativity poverty, actually?
Creative poverty. I like that. Yeah.
Because it has all to do with creativity at the end. And if you have a new technologies like the quick response code, because it's already developed in the 70s by the Japan company, by a Japanese company, so it's already 30 or 50 years old, I believe. And if you can't utilize it, it means really something. While it is so efficient, there was one Japanese company who did in a tube they create a virtual supermarket with QR code. So when you were walking to the tube, you can scan all your groceries, and then it will be picked and delivered. How efficient!
Right.
And that was already 6 to 8 years ago. So
we even created a few years ago a 10-point sheet of saying how you should be using a QR code, and not just bring a QR code that brings you to a menu or to a website or a web link. The different ways that you can use your QR code to create sales and to add value to what you're using as a QR code. And too often when you show that to a customer, they say, oh my God, I never realized that this is all we could do with it, and they just believe, oh, it brings me to a web link and that does the job.
Yeah. Hey, before we kick off with and answer Eric's question, because the show is called Fuck Up Friday on Monday.
By the way, in case anybody's interested as to why it's Fucked Up Fridays on Mondays, well, we figured Friday's a good day to discuss the shit that goes down. But the truth is, on Fridays, as we're heading into the summer, everyone's going to fuck off and no one's going to be there to listen. We converted the live stream to Monday.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Dennis, Bill, can you give yourself a quick introduction, because we didn't introduce ourselves, so please go ahead.
Well, I'm Bill Gillespie, got in the printing business in 1975, so if I'm doing my math right, that's 46 years ago.
No math
allowed. That's good. I was not a great math student, so that's good. Was better than average sales dude for a long time, and have enjoyed years as a senior manager and enjoyed years as senior sales leader, and love them both. And retired from daily sales leadership, senior management activities about a year ago, and doing my own thing now. And
at a great company, I might add.
Yeah, I was with Bennett Graphics in Atlanta when I left. When I left the daily activities. David Bennett, very close friend, one of the sharpest people I've ever had a privilege to work with, and I've worked with some great senior managers through the years. But David is.
Thank you. That's why you're on the show.
He's ahead of the curve, So anyway,
do you have great experience. Do you have one of your old customers sitting behind you in that chair?
Actually, that's a sales rep I've been training that won't take my advice, and he's just starving to death. What do you think of that, Warren? Is that a good comeback?
Oh, this is how you.
His name is Spencer, and he's waiting on the 80s to come back. And it's he's still trying to do it the way he did in the 80s and 90s. And
The good old days.
I think he's only got a day or two left before I got to plant him.
Hey, and Dennis, can you give a quick you started already, but can you give a quick introduction of yourself to the audience?
Absolutely, and I'll tell something to Warren and the audience that he doesn't know, and how we competed in my first year in business. So about 25 years ago, I had a personality.
Competed with me?
Yeah, and
I know competition.
We've been together a few times, and I completely forgot to tell you this. But when I started the business, I had a personnel agency. I was supplying personnel to different businesses, and one of them was Spartan. So I'm sure you remember Spartan. You were supplying
one of our first customers.
Yeah, you were supplying big labels on the outside package. But sometimes I'd bring my employees from my agency there, and at night they do packaging, but they never got their black and white insert sheet for instruction. So I told one of the managers there, I said, listen, I will supply you the sheets as long as you keep my workers during the weekend. And what happened? He gave me the contract to print all the inserts. I had nothing. I had a little copier in my office. I ended up bringing a few copiers in from Canon, Minolta, and so on. Started supplying there. And then things just fucking grew from there. And I started getting business. Being Greek, I started getting business from restaurateurs and so on, and started printing. Bought myself a multi-lith and a whole bunch of stuff. And over the years, it went just crazy. I mean, my brother was a bailiff before coming on board with me as a partner. And he brought in the Cartesian organization, and I was always the consummate salesman, trying to find clients, trying to innovate in new ideas and so on. And this is where today we're a 20 people shop. We were up to 35, 40 a few years back. We ran into a little bit of difficulties. We did some cleanup. We cleaned up some clients and employees. And today we're, hallelujah, we're doing really good. I think we're going to have, because of COVID, or part reason of COVID, we're probably going to have one of our best years in I don't know how many years.
Oh, good.
Large format, personalized printing. We even created a quick COVID website to purchase online, all kinds of tools for COVID and so on. So it really worked out well, and I'm happy.
That's good.
By the way, the only reason you got the black and white from Spartan is we didn't want it.
Oh, is that what? Well, thanks. You created this beast, which I am today there.
You owe me. Well, beast, okay, but you owe me.
I will. Got you a beer next time.
Hey, and Bill, I read your stories, and you had to do something with 34 million reply cards for the magazines.
Yeah, and back when there were magazines.
Yeah, and I read your article. It was you said it was for Time, Newsweek, People, and other big brands, and I thought, okay, he has experience by 34 million documents going into the wrong direction.
Oh,
so you want to hear that story, do you? All right, so
yeah, please.
So got hired to produce 34 million reader response cards. This is when fax machines were being invented and introduced into the marketplace. And
what's a fax machine?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that something? But it's when it was a new idea. They were in one of the ways they were introduced was in advertising in magazines, and so an ad agency I was doing business with bought space in all these publications, and so we were going in Newsweek, Time, U.S. News and World Report, People. Anyway, each of those publications has the printing specs were identical, but the binding specs were very different. They're very unique by the printer that's producing that publication. And so it would be a 2-inch stub or a 3-inch stub, and it would be on the left side or it would be on the right side. And the pallet packing instructions were very rigid, and this was all by printer. And so anyway, there were 60 different versions, as I recall. I'm going from memory, and maybe 20 different sets of specs, 60 different locations and 20 different sets of specs. And so writing that job jacket was monotonous. And so because I'm a genius and I was a sales dude, I came across a shortcut, and I said, okay, these 4 publications use exactly the same specs as People magazine. That's anecdotal. I don't know which magazine it was at the time, but so these printing and binding and packing specs are the same, not the shipping address, but the packing specs. And so I just wrote on the job jacket, same as People, same as Time, same as Newsweek, something like that, in the packing and binding area, not in the shipping area of the job jacket. Now I know better, but I was tired.
Now you know better.
Now I know better. So anyway, to make a long story a little longer, it's a day before one of the publications is going to bind the magazine and bind our cards into it. And the agency rep calls me and says, "Hey, Bill, Newsweek magazine is going to bind tomorrow, and they do not have their reader response cards." And I'm like, and this is on a Friday, Warren, so it fits the show. This is on a Friday. And I'm like, there is no way that's true, you know. And so I go get a signature, and then in the process of looking at the signature document, I realize that what's supposed to be in Ohio is in Portland, Oregon. And we have shipped it to the wrong printer. And so I'm starting to scream at the shipping guy who produces the job jacket. Right there's my handwriting, says same as another magazine. And it didn't matter that he was making bindery specs apply to shipping too, which was not what I intended. Anyway, to make a long story still longer, you know, I called the printer that's got them, and I said, "Hey, you've got 11 skids of our stuff, and I need to get it out of there, and I need to get it shipped across the country. I'll pay you to do that, and I'll pay the freight." And he says, "Well, I'll look for it." Yeah, I said, "We want to move those skids overnight." And he says, "Well, I'll look for them tomorrow." I'm like, "No, you don't understand." He says, "You're the one who doesn't understand." I'm at a printer with 60 employees, and we're a $10 million company. And he says, "You're the one who doesn't understand." He says, "I have 700 people on the night shift, and your 11 skids are like a needle in a haystack, and I'm going to look for them tomorrow." Click. He hangs the phone up. And so I didn't throw up, but I wanted to. And so I went to my own plant manager. We figured out how quickly we could reprint them. We called the printer that was supposed to have them. We begged another day on the binding. You know, if I have them there by this day, you know, can we still make it happen? We'll pay you disruption cost. And the guy was pretty cool there. And he said, "You know, another day is not going to kill us. We'll make it happen." And so we had paper on the way. We were planning to reprint those cards and reship them. And the next morning, we got a phone call, and it was from the place, and they had found the materials.
I'm ready to go.
They said, "We'll ship them. We'll ship them now." And so we did end up getting them there a day late, but in time to get the magazine bound and out. And here's a sales lesson. The customer, my customer was the ad agency, and the customer phoned me when this got resolved, and he says, "You learn a lot more about a vendor when there's a problem than you do when everything's going the right way." And he says, "We just confirmed that we're working with the right people. You didn't abandon this, and you stayed after it." So, but that's where all this went, you know.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Take the wig off.
He really is in the minority, isn't he? So,
yeah. You know what it is, though, eh? On a lot of these fuck ups, when we see them or we start to feel them, we feel the internal pressure immediately. Yes. Then the blood rises up to here. Then we think we're drowning in our own blood. Then we got to go to our local people that have been involved. And really, at the end of the day, I think it's been proven we spend 80% of this immediate time freaking out and going crazy when we don't have to. And most people step up to the plate and help after.
I agree with that, right? Warren. I totally agree with that.
That's what I find happens a lot. But it is always going to be Friday at 4:00 or the day of something that's horrible.
But it is also something typical for the manufacturing industry, you know. It happens everywhere, especially in our industry. You do actually manufacturing on demand of a product.
That's right.
You know, and there are always 20 steps in this whole process, and every step has 2 or 3 people working and in the old days, it was maybe 10 people working on one process step of the 10 or 12. So it can multiply very easily. And with automatization and software, we can manage a lot right now. But still, there are so many things that can go wrong because, for example, the shipment, once you handle over to the shipment to an external partner, the whole process starts again of possibility of going wrong.
Well, that's right. And we're in the communication business. And I just have to say, if it's possible for something you write or say to be misunderstood, it's going to be misunderstood. So it's a real lesson in clarity and shortcuts for me.
I have, first of all, you would think that from within our own industry that we were smart enough to do things the right way, right? Okay, maybe I'm assuming and I'm making a mistake. It wouldn't be the first time. So I remember crazy fuck up from within our own industry. Okay, so there's a printer in Ontario. The name of the company is MI5. I can't be sued anymore because I don't have a printing company, so it doesn't matter. But at the time, a few years ago, maybe 3 or 4, MI5 had the contract to do all of the golf games that were going on, Montreal, Toronto, the PGA, LPGA, and all of that. Sure. And I got a call a week before the event was starting in Montreal. And I speak to their head guy there, and he says, would you be so kind to help us out? And could you produce these overnight? It's always printing at midnight. Get the file at midnight, have to deliver by 6 in the morning. And this is the printer that I'm talking to, the guy who has the contract. So first things first is I say, let me get you a price. I quote him the price. I give it to him, and he says to me, oh, no, we're cheaper than you. I said, well, I'm on an iGen 5. What are you on? He said, I'm on another digital device. I said, buddy, you were in Toronto. You knew right away that you couldn't produce every night in Toronto. How did you give your customer a price without going out to a Montreal company to get a print price? You know what his answer is? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, so we get over that one. And I say to him, I'm not interested. We agree on the price. He's going to send me all of the pre-printed big sheets, and then I'm just going to trim them and then put them through the laser to get the black and white and the fist, right? So I think it's on a Thursday or a Friday, I get the skids. We're going to go into printing on Saturday, Sunday. Of course, we don't have the file for the first printing yet because they didn't get it to us. But when we go in on the Saturday, I go in on Saturday morning, we go to crack open the top of the skid, and all of their sheets are stuck together.
Oh, really?
The printer, MI5 in Toronto, Ontario, because I hate people that do that shit and then blame others. I call the guy up and I go, dude, they're all stuck together. What are we going to do? He's like, well, what are we going to do? I go, you mean, what am I going to do? I said, I'm going to pull I said, we're on a weekend working on the presses. We're going to pull everybody off the presses, 56-inch press, by the way, not cheap, double overtime. And I said, the only thing we could do is slowly peel the sheets back because you don't have time to print them. You know what he does? He's trying to negotiate with me the cost of doing that. And I said, buddy, I just stopped the job to help you out because you're a commitment to the PGA. And I'm going to charge you their hourly rate of 2 pressmen, double overtime on a 56-inch press because I can't find less people who earn less to come in. What do you want to do? Anyways, we do it. And the worst part is we get it out. We abide by our commitment. At the end, they want to fucking argue, negotiate me with the bill. There's nothing that pisses me off more than people in our own industry who fuck up, know it, and then try to fluff it off onto others. So MI5, our own. That's doing it to our own. That's like beating your brother and sister up. No, unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Hey, and Dennis, you wrote also some interesting stories about your experience. So it's up to you, but you can choose your favorite one. It's a seller's bag stuffers, the binder cover for brokers, or the corporate solicitation pocket and info documentation for school. Which one do you like to share with the audience?
Listen, the Zeller's backstuffer is the best one because even up to date today, 15 years later, we use that story to educate our new employees that come on board. Just to say, how simple a stupid mistake can happen. So we used to print this bag stuff for about 650,000 flyers, very simple, 2/2 bond paper, and it would be distributed in the Zeller store throughout Quebec. About 3 weeks before the Monday, by the way, fucked up Monday. So this flyer worked with the Monday theme, which was their Monday Senior Day. The first Monday of every month, they had 50% discount for seniors. We had one fucking thing to change, was the date. So every month, it was on the Monday of the first Monday of the week. You had to just change the date, and everything stayed the same thing. Well, we had this junior graphic designer that started working for us. Really nice girl, really, good heart and sever, but lack of concentration, just not paying attention and not being careful, not rechecking her work. So she does the change, sends it to the client, gets an approval, because we've been doing this for years with this client, and just automatic approval from the client. Goes through the CSR, myself, which I was in charge of that, didn't see the date change, went to press, went to shipping, arrives in the stores in Zellers, and this cashier says, hey, the date is fucked up. It's 1 day off. So we had to, so they call us up and say, hey, what's going on with this, blah, blah, blah. So we ended up having to reprint the whole lot and send it within like almost 48 hours later. Everything was good. The client was happy. And I ended up thanking the girl for her services, and I let her go. I was often, and that was in my younger days where I could explode. When it gets like up here. So I stayed out of thing on her. But the nice thing is, 6 years later, she went to work for Transcontinental at the time. 6 years later, she had moved closer to our office on the South Shore, calls us back, and listen, you guys, you're great. I want to come back to your place. Today, 10 years later, she's still with us. She's in charge of a digital department. People love her. She's very conscientious. She's older and more experienced now. And when I hire somebody new,
teaches you a lot.
yeah, when I hire somebody new, I sit them down once they start and I say, listen, if you're going to be a graphic designer, if you're going to be a pressman, whatever you are, I ask everyone in my shop, and that's a great learning lesson. I ask everyone in my shop, check 3 or 4 things. Phone number. And if you have to pick up the phone number, you're doing let's say a South Shore flyer, it's 450, and on the flyer it's written 514. Just do a call, check it. Check dates if it's right on the calendar. And how many times, every time in January or February, they're still putting 2020 when it's 2021. So I say, check those very little details, phone number, address, date, and you know how many jobs it save. I have pressmen that are about to put a job on the press, and they come back and say, hey, I think we're going to have to take out a new plate here. Fucked up along the chain. So be vigilant, and I'm happy I hired her back, and she's one of the examples. Sometimes she laughs about it when I say, it's her, and then they go and see secretly on the side and said, holy fuck, how did you do that? It's really good stories.
But the reality, because in the past you had, of course, in this business you had manual errors that can occur. Then suddenly, when the business become digital, you had some digital things that can go wrong. I know that we printed some documents in the past where we didn't convert the euro sign because the euro sign was new. The conversion went wrong, so in the total reporting of the city of Utrecht here in the Netherlands, the whole reporting was wrong at that time. But especially when it came later with variable data printing, VDP, there was of course data, and that was also so easy to mess up sometimes, where with the wrong sheets or the wrong CSV files, going to the wrong merging. And then suddenly a few hours of work are vaporized, and you can redo the job again in the old days.
We could probably have a whole month of shows on data and problems and the wrong field in the wrong. I mean, people are sending data with people's social insurance numbers that get printed sometimes on pieces that get mailed. Right? It's really.
Scary.
I kind of laugh even when customers say, "So what kind of security do you have for data?" I'm like, "What, are you kidding me? NASA, Walmart, Anonymous. If they want me, they got me."
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do to protect against the world?
What was your worst big data or data merging?
I don't know that I want to tell it here because a customer might be watching that it was him and he doesn't know.
Don't use names.
Zip,
Don't use names.
tell me the story about the skateboards, because that's what
Oh God, I've never
enjoyed
felt so
reading it.
stupid. So this is one that you just got to really visualize. But so I sold this project to a internationally recognized soft drink giant that happens to be headquartered in Atlanta. Everybody probably can guess who that is. And so it was a fairly simple job. It was a poster that was going to hang in drugstores. There were 3,500 of them, and as I'm leaving the guy's office, and I knew I was going to drop ship to all these locations, the guy says, "You do fulfill, don't you?" And I said, "Sure, I do it every day." Well, so to me that meant drop shipping, and so anyway, I go back to the shop and enter the order, and we start to print it. And this is all conventional days, of course, not that matters, but maybe 4 or 5 days in, my boss, who's Warren actually knows him. It's how I met Warren. But my boss, who's a little short, excitable kind of guy, comes flying in on 2 wheels, and he's like, Bill, do you know anything about some skateboards? And I should say the poster had a picture of a skateboard on it. And I said, "No, I don't know anything about some skateboards." He says, "Well, somebody's trying to deliver some to us." So we'll walk out into the shipping or receiving, and there are 2 tractor trailers in the parking lot, nose to heel, floor to ceiling, full of skateboards that are trying to unload them at our printing plant. Because what the customer meant when he said fulfill is that I would send a skateboard to each of those locations when the winner of the sweepstakes was selected at each location. I don't know if you've ever seen 3,500 skateboards in one place, but you don't stack them in the corner. They were all over the plant. We're moving them all day, every day, just to get to paper, just to get to a cutter, just to get to a folder. And so, these things have got to deliver to customers in pristine condition. And they were expensive. They were $150 a piece. And I would come in for a press check at night, and the pressmen are skateboarding through the plant on them, getting ink all over the wheels. And I just, you can't control people like that. If you put those toys in front of them, you're not going to control them. It's just that simple.
Especially on the night shift.
It was a mess. It was a real mess, and it was my fault. Another, yeah, sure, we do that, and not knowing what the client meant. But I learned what fulfillment meant that day, and it's not handwork and it's not drop shipping. It's something else.
So what did you do to avoid these errors, Bill?
Oh, I just as you would expect, every year that's passed, you just get better and better at anticipating what might go wrong. I mean, you would never see skateboards showing up at your plant when you're having that sales conversations, but I would now. I would understand that. I call them parallel conversations. And so you start to understand that you and a client can have parallel conversations, and you need to be sure you're on the same talk track before you walk out of there with
but
an
there's a Greek system in place to prevent making repetitive mistakes. Is just keep yourself really busy of making new ones. So like
well, I've certainly got that experience.
Listen, I always say if you don't make the same mistake twice, you're always learning. It's okay.
Yeah, well, that videotape of mistakes is just rewritten every year, don't you think? You just write new ones over the old ones.
Well, there are different interpretations of making mistakes, but when you have a masculine boss who doesn't like that you make the mistakes, the other interpretation is, if you make a mistake, at least you tried something, right? You still did 100% more by default than somebody who didn't do something.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
By the way, it's not really a mistake if it didn't cost you any money.
Yeah, that's but
that's the exception. That's when you're really happy it didn't cost you anything.
I don't have any of those, Warren.
Hey, Bill,
that's not a mistake. Come on.
I went to the University of Mistake. Right? It was like at the end, tuition was I calculated just the other day. I think tuition in total over my course of my education was $8.2 million.
That's about right.
That's a PhD. That's a PhD. Mistakes.
That includes a whole company.
Yeah. Bill, but you don't have skateboards left for 3 generations of your
I'll
family?
take one.
It's funny you asked that. I actually had a pressman that I worked with at that time. He and I still see each other occasionally. He asked me if I had one squirreled away anywhere. He would like to have it. And I promised him I'd look, and I haven't. I've got to go through the attic, see if one of those things, because one of them did make its way to my house. I'll confess that. So I've got to look and see if I have that thing. And if I do.
I wouldn't be surprised if you had it. You sent me a picture the other day that you had in your collection that I had sent you like 12 or 13 years ago.
You can't. Setting up this home office here as I've consolidated out of all the different places I've worked, I'm going through treasure after treasure, and that's where I found those people. I've got a shirt you sent me that I should have worn for today's interview.
Sure.
If I do another one, I'll have it on.
Okay, we'll do a short show just so you can get the shirt on.
There you go.
We still have the question of Eric. He says we talked about the QR codes in the beginning, 30 minutes ago, and we said, okay, maybe the poverty of creativity is one of the problems at agencies or people who are trying to use QR codes. But I think he's also right that since the native recognition of iOS and the operating system of mobile phones make it easier, there's no extra hurdle of an app. So it's now embedded in every iOS, in Android, and in Apple to scan QR codes. So actually, I think
why do I always talk about Apple? Can we talk about Samsung? I hate Apple.
Really?
Hey, I love Apple. What are you talking about?
You want to know what? You want to know why I like Samsung? That little plug at the bottom, my razor, my toothbrush, my flashlight, everything I need when I'm traveling, one plug. Apple?
You're right.
No. Problem.
You're right.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay, fair point.
But I love technology. Years ahead.
I love technology.
Yeah, they are years ahead in South in Korea, probably. So good news. And what do you think is the next step in? So you all three or two, especially Bill and Dennis, you are all seniors, and you have a lot of experience in managing the business. What can young people do to learn or avoid from, maybe learn from mistakes or errors or the fuck ups, and what should they definitely not do? Getting ballistic, or going to DEFCON 5, what doesn't make any sense. Is that helpful? Because we all had this experience, of course, but you are for a long time in the business.
You don't solve any problems when you're being abrasive. I've got a friend that says you're never persuasive when you're abrasive. And so if you can stay calm, you got a problem to solve. And Warren said it right earlier. If you can avoid the DEFCON meltdown and just go straight to, hey, we'll get into why and how it happened later, and we'll address that. But I've got this problem to solve. There's lots of talent around you and lots of intellect, and you can generally solve things. I mean, it's not always cheap. It's not. I'm not promising it's painless, but you can probably
solving a problem.
You can, but you can generally solve things. As to preventing it. And again, I just have to say we're in the communication business, and everybody will have their own answer. For me, one of the things I learned to do training sales reps is I would give each of the reps we'd get them in a meeting and to give each rep a set of specifications to write out a dummy job jacket. So we would have each of them enter an order, and the specs were different from everyone. And then we would pass those to the right and see if the sales rep that didn't write it could figure out what they were being hired to do. And it was amazing what would come up in that simple exercise where it's crystal clear to the person entering the order, but the person reading it has got to connect a lot of dots, and you just discover a lot of communication problems. You discover a lot of, that's been my experience. And so just training people on how to enter info as if they didn't know what the project was. They're entering info and somebody's got to figure out what to do from what they create.
And it's actually quite funny, Bill, because when we were young, all at school, we all had this exercise in a class, where the teacher said, you've got a watermelon, and you have to pass it over
That's
to
right.
the other. And
That's
then
right.
and the 21st person had suddenly a banana, you know. It
That's
doesn't make
right.
any sense. You started with a watermelon and ended up with a banana because even at that in that process as kids, you know, and adults who
That's exactly right.
make the same errors. Dennis, do you have?
I think I missed that program. I think the teacher said, Warren, go to the principal's office.
I'm sure the teacher said that.
More than once, I'm sure.
I thought I was the hotel monitor.
And Dennis, do you have some tips for the younger managers in the business? You know, from if something goes wrong, you know, what's a wise advice?
Well, first thing I've realized over time, because younger I was a bit of a hothead, and I believed that I knew everything and I was king in the answers, you know. Yeah. And as we get older, we kind of mellow out, and we realize that our experience says take a step back, breathe a little bit, and reevaluate the situation. Sorry, I think I've got somebody cutting some grass behind me there. I don't know if you can hear it, but so what I try to say to the younger generation, you know, I'm lucky because I've got two kids. My daughter's 26, my son is 25, so I can bounce off them how I used to be with them when I was younger and how I'm with today, older. And it's the same thing for employee because you know we're a big family there, and it's a complete different perspective of what we were when we were younger. And you know, when we were younger, it's okay, pull up your sleeves, get the shit done, and let's get it handled for the client. Today, it's a whole other reality, and I think what's more important is for us to adjust to the new generation coming in and understanding. You know, sitting down like just recently this week, I had a sit down with one of my junior leaders, and I would say something and I would explain how I expect it. And then I'd ask him, did you understand what I said? And can you explain it back to me? And we were fucking yards apart, you know,
Sure.
and it's understanding their perspective and then re-explaining until they understand why we want to get it done this way. And ultimately, I have to be flexible to accept the way they want to do it. If it's, hey, listen, I've got to go on Fridays because I'm picking up my kids or family work and so on. That's their priorities, and it wasn't mine. And today I realized I should have made more an effort with the kids when they were younger, but business was all the mine, and that was everybody was like that, you know. So the younger is to understand their perspective and be patient in educating them and bring them on board and make them understand the long game. And you know, maybe sometimes having them pull the reins back and stop trying to race the race in one day. And that's
I think
Within
that's
reason, of course, because they will take advantage of you in every way.
yeah, of course.
And does it also apply for the industry generic and also for the US and Canada industry? You know, it's very tough nowadays to get good employees. You know,
These days, you cannot find any employees.
Really?
This pandemic, North America, I'll speak, but the pandemic in North America, between the Canadian and the US government giving people emergency funds that were
That's so
probably
true.
more money than they earned when they were working, which didn't make sense, but not going to debate that. And they haven't cut it off quick enough where people are still taking the $500 a week net. And in work, they would have made 400 and they're like, we don't care. And unfortunately, those are all the jobs that really we need to make the train move, right?
That's exactly right.
They're all the small, medium level jobs. So it is a problem today. And then
But
I think
there's
also, sorry?
no, but there's an education to do, Warren, as far
agreed.
as of future labor in our field in communication and print, and also the reality of salaries, the type of salaries we're doing. Just recently, I was talking to one of my business group that are in all kinds of fields. Some in cement manufacturing, others in transport and so on. And we all have the similar problem: is that adjusting to the new salaries, evaluating what the new salaries, what's the real payout you need to get the top tiers of employees, but also creating an environment so that is pleasant, that it's sensitive to the needs of the newer generation, and so on. So it's a whole other new ball game as far as how you need to manage human resource, and so you'll always find a candidate, but it's so much more complicated than it was just 15 years ago.
I think it's complicated.
Go ahead, Will.
I think it's complicated on both sides. I mean, I've just bought some work at my house, from vendors in different spaces. And I finally found myself saying this to one of them. I said, I've never written a half-ass check. I've never written a $10,000 check that you could only cash for $8,000. And I don't want $8,000 worth of work when I bought $10,000 worth. I mean, there's learning on both sides of that. I certainly agree that as senior managers, we have to know what the market demands. But as senior managers, we also have to instill in these candidates what the market demands of our product. I mean, anybody that's sat at the head of a table, and all of us have, knows that when you break a meeting, there are people in that room that are going to go out of that room and do 100% of what you asked, and there are people that are going to do 70% of what you asked, and people that are going to do 80% of what you asked. And what I see, and I hear this complaint from leader after leader, is that 100% group is smaller and smaller. It's sliding. What people want to deliver as employees is sliding, and that's a dangerous compromise.
Yeah, so I think I've been speaking to a lot of people, and I mean, we're a little off topic of fucked up, but I guess it's a little fucked up in that in our industry, how do I say this? There's a lot of old white men stuck in their ways. No, you're not that old.
He's not white. I can tune the colors.
Well, he's white, but a couple months he'll have a golf tan. No, but really what I'm saying is in all these companies, it has to start at the top. So when the old white man at the top is an ass and he's trying to hire salespeople on straight commission with a draw and get people to do things in the old ways, gonna have problems, and he's not going to get the best people. Because today, people don't work for free to prove themselves. Today, you pay people and encourage them and motivate them to do better. And hopefully, they've enjoyed the experience, that they stay with you in your company and continue to grow and don't take what they've learned and go somewhere else.
That's right.
Right? But it all starts, every conversation, it all starts at the top with the owner. If the owner's not walking the talk and talking the walk, his senior management is screwed.
I agree with that.
And that's fully right, because if you ask senior leaders, especially the old-fashioned people, they all want proactive employees. They want all people who are 24/7 available. They want employees that are always in favor of the management or the paycheck of the manager, of the owner. And I always ask them, can you please stand up? And they say, why? I say, stand up. I say, can you show me how the behavior looks of these three things you want? How does it look? No, can I touch it? Can I feel it? I said, because if your employee can't copy your behavior, he won't do it. He won't do it. If you expect him to be 24/7 available for your paycheck, and you're hitting at 3 p.m. the office, say, hey, adios, amigos, I'm going to golf.
That's true.
He will think, he's going to the golf course, and it's 3 p.m. and he says, adios, amigos. I say, okay, makes sense. I will. It's also siesta time for me in the business, so his behavior will be changed. So everything should be. When you clean a stair, you never start at the bottom. You always start at the top. With the
really, I've never cleaned stairs. I don't know.
Yeah, if you clean the stairs, you always start at the top, not at the bottom. And people find it very difficult to accept this. The older they get, the more they accept, but it's their behavior at the end. So I think people can learn from this as well.
Well, there's two lessons in there. Obviously, everything starts from the top, and as an entrepreneur, you need to set the tone for your business and how you want your employees to be. The second thing is, you cannot expect your people to be better than you. I mean, as much as we would love that and have them to be, they'll be on their own. They'll start their own business. They don't need you then. So you have to make sure to be above the bar of what you expect yourself as an entrepreneur. And you surround yourself with people that don't have the same qualities you have, which are good in their own department, but as a whole will not be better than you because they'll just go anyway. So they don't need you. So first step, as an entrepreneur, you need to be top notch if you want your business to be top notch. And second step is you need to find good people in the positions that you need to be good. And ultimately, I think now with COVID and what's been going on in the last few years of lack of labor, changing attitudes for the younger generation, I think it's a good time, a good opportunity. I just recently bought a small print shop in Laval. I'm looking to buy another one on the South Shore. And it's the old mentality. They haven't adjusted, they haven't bought new equipment, haven't got new people. And those are opportunities, I believe, that's there for the next years to come to bring new life to our industry. So we'll see.
By the way, if you end up buying a print shop on the North Shore, South Shore, or Laval because people heard you on this show, the show gets a commission.
I figured that. So what's your rate there, Ward? How much I got to send out to you?
We'll talk after, but it's been important.
No,
Dar, I'm not sending anything overseas, okay? I'm just keeping it with Ward.
No, I'll hold it for them when they come to visit.
Yeah.
They don't spend any money when they come.
Okay, very good.
we just talk about some HR issues actually, in our industry. So I recorded, I think it's 2 years ago, the pilot radio show Fuck Up Friday was a pilot show on the New Business Radio in the Netherlands, and I had the CEO of the real estate market, the platform, and we talked about his fuck up actually, and he had a brilliant one. So he started at a company, it was a mid-size or large company, and he did all kind of personal improvement plans and interviews with all the employees, how they were performing, what can be improved, blah blah blah. But instead of saving all the documents on his laptop, he stored the documents on a public drive of the company of all the employees. So, and he went on a holiday on Friday for the weekend. He had a short break, and suddenly when he landed, his mobile phone exploded with all kind of with all the messages, because every employee could access the document of his colleagues about what's and so it happens. It's made so easy, and you always have to be very sharp about saving these personal documents at the end in your company. That was the message I learned. So I always look twice or three times before I save a document somewhere.
Oh my God. I remember when I was starting a business way back when, I received an email from a community organization that was doing some fundraising and reaching out to 600-700 people. And this is way back when people really weren't up on the CC, BCC and whatever. So person that sent us the email, I saw 600 top names of people in the CC. So what did I do? I did a reply to all, and I introduced myself and my company and our service.
Of course you did.
Why not?
And for 5 days, I had to sit back on my computer and not touch it, because those 600 people exploded. Some were, how dare you use a community email like to solicit. And the other half was like, give the dude a break. He's a young guy. He's an entrepreneur. And if the more money he makes, more money he's going to give the community.
There you go.
And oh my God, I still have the folder here. It's like this thick. You could feel the fangs in people, right? Oh my God. So what was a big fuck up actually turned out to be really good, because it put me on the map. Half the people liked me, half the people didn't. But
well, then that's Hall of Fame. That's Hall of Fame stats right there, Warren.
That's Hall of Fame stats. Yeah.
We've received a compliment from Jerome from the Netherlands. Warren and I know them because Jeroen used to be my ex colleague, because I worked for him, and an ex-customer, because when I was working for Xerox, he was my client as well. So Jeroen, thank you. No thumbs, actually.
Always send money. We have low budget.
Did he mention that the reason of the great show was the guy wearing the glasses? Did he say anything about that?
What glasses? Oh, are we all going glasses now? Like you all want to be on glasses?
No. That is not a funny thing. Like,
Okay, so this was the last midlife crisis show. So we
glasses and no hair.
that's
There you
right.
go.
the glasses and no hair show. Welcome.
What is
So
it?
feel
Larry
free.
Moe and what's the other guy? Curly.
Yeah.
Which one?
Where's you're the Curly? No, are you the Curly? The bald guys? No, isn't that the Three Stooges?
Yeah,
Curly Moe,
Joe Mo and whatever.
Curly. Yeah, whatever.
I haven't watched it in a long time. I
Yeah,
forget.
me too.
If anybody on Twitter or on Facebook or YouTube has a question for us, please drop a line because we can answer your question. If you have any question to these senior people of the print industry, international, Canada, US, Netherlands.
Can't you say like experienced people? Why do you got to say senior?
Oh, yeah, because who is bald and wearing glasses? Not me. Wasn't me. So, okay, there's experienced people who would like to answer your questions. So please go ahead and give us some questions. But if you don't have any questions, we're still happy.
If you don't have questions, we won't answer them.
Yeah, exactly. That's the good news. No, we already chit-chatting for 1 hour and 1 minute already. So I think we,
Wow.
yeah.
Time flies, man. Time flies.
Yeah,
Wow.
when you're having fun, time really flies. So, Warren, do you have a tip or an advice for the audience, for the viewers?
Do we have any advice for them? Fuck off. No. What I would really say is please thank you for watching the show. We appreciate it. If there's anybody out there, print owners, print pressmen, bindery people, salespeople, print customers, anybody who wants to share a great fuck up with us and the benefits that came from it, hopefully that you've learned, not what you spent, reach out to me on LinkedIn. You got Dharminder too. Don't reach out to Denny or Bill. They won't be back ever again. Okay, I'm kidding. They'll be back season 2. We got to get through season 1.
Okay,
And
okay.
yeah, just reach out, and we're going to keep going on with this show because I think it's, or we think it's really important to just talk about what goes on in life. It's not only the greatness, it's the badness. Oh, if you know anybody out there listening, if there's any young people in the company, if there's any students, anybody related to the print communication world that wants to get on and talk about a fuck up, could be a job, an employee, could be anything related to anything, get in touch with us.
Yes, sign printers, packaging, co-packaging, everybody is welcome to talk about.
Coffee shops, data shops. Did I say coffee shops? I meant no. Coffee shops.
We will cover that from Amsterdam, coffee shops.
I was going to say coffee shops when I'm in Amsterdam, but you can actually leave that alone for another show.
Okay.
But bring it all, bring it all.
Can I just add 2 little things,
No.
which I'm really passionate about?
Okay.
Thank you, Warren. You're the man.
You're welcome.
First is we have a new Quebec printing association called AQIFE. It represents printers and the needs of printers, and it's flexo, packaging, large format, and commercial print. And also, we've created a campaign with one of the para-government organization in Quebec here, which is called Créateurs d'Impact. So creators of impact. Yeah. Créateurs d'Impact, you French fuck. So, and this what it is we're trying to educate the families of Quebec and the younger generation to come in our trade to see how exciting it is with all the new technology, all the new ways of printing, large format and so on. So take a visit, and if we can share those links there in the future, that would be great, Warren.
So will there be an English link?
There is an English link.
Okay,
yes,
good.
there is.
Because you're on an English show.
Yeah, I know, man. I know.
Okay, just saying.
But those 2 for our Quebec printing, and we're part, by the way.
Well done.
AQIF is part of the Canadian Print Association also, so we work hand in hand for cross Canada promotion of our industry, our beautiful industry, I got to say.
Okay, and I'm going to throw out the last thing: the Canadian Print Scholarship Trust. Any printers out there in Canada listening, I've been always contributing when I was in the print world. I would recommend it. I also know that in other countries, there are Canadian in other countries. There are print scholarship trusts in other countries. So if you're into print, if you're an owner, try and find them, try and give, and then try and advertise to all of your employees, because we need more people in here.
Good. Bill, do you want to say something to share with?
I would just add, and Warren is going to chime in on this, I know, if you're a leader, be a leader. Volunteer to mentor, to be a mentor. Warren is doing that. I'm doing that. And they're organized programs, but they don't have to be. If you want to really influence a young person's life and sell the value of our industry, and it's a phenomenal industry, so creative, but roll your sleeves up and help a young person figure out some questions in their lives, or some answers, I should say.
And I'll tell you, this is never going to end, but so I'm mentoring somebody through the D-Scroot mentorship program. And
I love it.
There is no better feeling in the world.
It's fabulous.
Helping somebody. I mean, I'm thinking of my kids, and I'm helping somebody get a little. My kids don't listen. You got to go to another person's kid to get them to listen. But the what you get back from it is amazing, and what they get from it is just off the charts. So I encourage everyone to do that.
It's the best thing in the world. It really is.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
So there are some people tuning in right now because this show was called Fuck
We
Fuck
popped
Off.
up the time. So
Yeah,
should we
because
stay on?
we screwed up and fucked up the time zone because two knuckleheads one from Europe and one from Canada was scheduling an internet.
No. There's no Canada. I gave you the right time. You couldn't read your clock. All my
Yes.
marketing
Agree.
was the right time.
Okay, so
Take that back.
I'll take it back.
Okay.
And but the next one, within 1 or 2 weeks, Warren, we will have a new broadcast. Go with the right timing.
How about
And
this? What time, just so that I know as your partner, what time are we doing this?
6 p.m. my time and 12 o'clock your time.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Did you Google that?
No,
No, I'm not kidding you. I don't know what time it is.
no,
Right now,
it's now 7 p.m. my time.
so
Well,
what
if somebody
time is
missed
your-
this show, how can they see
6
it?
hours difference. If you're in Netherlands time, Greece time is, I think, 6 hours difference.
Yeah.
So,
Would you stop
Exactly.
going back to the Greeks, Jesus?
sorry, but we Greeks, we started everything. It's everything.
Oh my! I'm so in the mood for a souvlaki, by the way. Just
There you
saying.
go. You see?
No, like legitimately, because I've got a little of ADHD and a little backwards thinking. What time is it? Where and what time? Be clear.
It's-
7 p.m. at home. Your home
Yes.
is.
1 p.m. today here.
Yeah.
Are we sure?
Yes.
So, is it safe to say going forward we won't fuck up the time anymore? It's Mondays at 1 p.m.
Yes. It's
Eastern
at lunch.
Canada time.
Yeah.
After lunch, because we want people to watch when they get back to their desk after they've taken off an hour for lunch.
Yeah.
So-
Exactly.
It's print related.
So if I'm to understand this broadcast here from 12 to 1, nobody listened except 2 people. We're just
No.
talking nonsense.
I saw 4 people on YouTube. I see 9 people live.
Okay.
And if you want to see it after, number one, it's always on my YouTube channel, Warren Werbit. I would suggest everybody go there and subscribe. I need 1,000 subscribers last month. I didn't get them. It's on LinkedIn, on Dharminder's LinkedIn activity post. It's on his Twitter. What's your Twitter, Dharminder?
Bihari D to be very direct.
Right, maybe you could spell it out for us, since not everyone.
BHAIRIED. You will find it on Twitter if you search for Fuck Up Friday.
Okay.
There's so
So,
many.
yeah, anywhere you go, just go fucked up Friday, and then hopefully other stuff won't come up, just us.
I would like to thank you all for this joining this again, especially
My pleasure.
especially Bill, because Bill is such a good senior manager and coach, mentor. If I look at the left corner, he offers lifetime coaching, literally.
That's right. The guy didn't make it. I'm going to plan him this afternoon.
He offers lifetime coaching. So, hey, guys, what else do you want? So
Some other time I'll tell you about the leg lamp in the other corner. Back over there,
perfect.
wherever it is.
yeah.
That's over there.
So stay online. So we're gonna quit the stream, but people, thank you for watching, and you can review this on YouTube and of course on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on Twitter. So
It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. It's on my Facebook too. And
Yeah.
just share it like crazy. I'll give everyone $5 who shares it. Just like send me an invoice.
I just
Yeah.
need to know where to send it to.
Right.
Okay. Hey, thank you for watching, and see you all next time. Bye.
Thanks, guys, and thank you to our viewers, and keep viewing us.
Yes.
Great.